Okay, so welcome everybody. We're probably going to have some people joining us as we start now. I just wanted to introduce myself and my colleagues before we introduce our guest speaker. My name is Mary Ellen Schroeder, and I'm the Director of Career Development. And Meg, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Meg Adderman, a Student Outreach Manager and 2010 Illustration Alumni.
Okay, and Megan?
Hi, I'm Megan Cronin. I am a 1994 BFA Medals alum. I am also the Assistant Director of Alumni Relations. Welcome, everyone.
Thank you. And Darlene?
Hello, everyone. I'm Darlene Gillen. I'm the Alumni Relations Director at MassArt, and I'm class of 2012 MSAE. Welcome, everybody.
So yes, and I'd like to extend my welcome as well. I was so delighted. I took a peek at the registration list and I saw a lot of familiar names. So it was really great to see that. So I'd like to introduce our guest speaker, Sabrina Woods. I have known Sabrina for years because we belong to the same professional association. And she was actually the one who introduced me to the magic of LinkedIn many, many years ago. And I found her presentations just very engaging, educational. And Darlene and I approached her and said, we'd really love for you to come and talk to MassArt students and alumni about their LinkedIn profiles and kind of bringing it up to the next level. So she said, I'd be delighted. So thank you, Sabrina, for coming. And I'm going to pass it over to you.
Great. Thank you. Thank you. I am so delighted to be here tonight and to work with this group. I hope to make it really engaging. And so the way I want to start is I'd love for you to, if you're in a comfortable place to do so, to actually turn your cameras on so we can say hello. And I'll have Darlene say a couple of our locations. I know we've got Austin. I know we've got Boston. Austin and Boston, they sound almost the same. And I'm in Providence, Rhode Island right now. So who else do we have in terms of where people are aspiring to go next with their careers and what locations are they in? Darlene, do you want to share some of those?
Yeah, sure. We have Michael. He's saying hi from Portland, Maine. It's cold. He wants to finish and publish his first book of mixed genre trilogy. And we have Jessie from LA, Cali. It's 60 degrees and nice. Nice day for a walk, haha. She wants to learn about information to put in LinkedIn. I know that we have to have a job in our description, but what do we put if we are students? Also hoping to learn more about designing my portfolio with my portfolio. And then we have Daniel, he's from Boston. I think gaining a better understanding of what and how to compromise on my job search criteria, how long to hold out for a better fit within a firm. And a couple more or?
Oh, yeah, tell me one more and then I'll shift over.
Sure, we have John from Medford. It's cold, but not too bad. He wants to start looking for prop making internships and industrial design internships.
Fantastic. All right, well, welcome all. I am going to also encourage you to be networking with each other. So you can consider getting your LinkedIn URL up and adding it in a little bit. So just know that that's going to be an option to do if you'd like. Go right back over to here and we'll carry on. So this is actually the first in a three-part series. We're doing the Thursday night thing. So 25th of February, I'll be back talking about networking tips. Then the power of informational interviews. That is my favorite tool for job search and for career growth. So you can join us in March on the 18th for that session. Okay. I am going to give you the opportunity to do a little bit of reflection tonight. And while we can type, there's something about a pen and a piece of paper. So I'm going to pause for a second, look around your room. Do you have an old scrap piece of paper? I know we barely use paper anymore when it comes to when we're interacting like this, but let's see if we can grab that sketch pad and have that handy for an exercise I'll do in a few minutes. I guess you could say I have goals to both be interactive with you, but also for you to have this chance to be interactive with yourself, like to really think about where you're headed and how you want to show up on LinkedIn to help you get there. Okay. I want to do a check-in. It's just we know that we're in an extended period of challenge around the globe. So I'm going to ask you how you are tonight. And we're going to use annotate in order to do it. So to find this, you're going to look for the very top, we'll say view options, and the third one down will say annotate. Let's see if that shows up for you. And if it does, I'm going to take us to the next slide. Whoops, I actually have to close it to get to the next slide. And then have you actually do a quick practice of annotate. Let's see if this is going to work for people. There, it started. Okay, so again, go to the top of your screen and you'll see third one down, annotate. It allows you to write, it allows you to doodle, it allows you to put stamps down. You can change the color, you can do a text box. This is just, it's bring out your best 5-year-old's night tonight. I'll give you one more minute on that, and then I'm going to be really mean and I'm going to erase it all and take us to the next slide. Okay, one more second. Clear all. Okay. So we'll have you pause for a second. I'm going to go to the next slide, and this is where I want to hear, how are you doing? So you can grab a stamp or a check mark and mark off. Is life pretty tough right now? Are you hanging in there? Are you pretty good considering? Are you quite good? Where are you at today? It's kind of nice to just check in with us and tell us what's going on with which box represents you. Yeah. Nice to just see this pop up, see what's happening. And if you're in that hanging in there state, or life's pretty rough or tough right now, know that you're not alone. And I do a lot of these webinars in different alumni environments and higher ed environments. And anybody that's in a job search right now, it's hard. It's harder than it's ever been. And so I just want you to know that we're in this perseverance mode, and be kind to yourself. I think we need perseverance, and we also need some self-compassion. And my hope is you've got some camaraderie tonight. That's what I really want. Or actually in this whole series, I want you to have some camaraderie. So thank you for that. All right, I'm going to have you stop with those. I'll clear all drawings. I'm going to have to turn the annotate off. Give me 1 second here. All right, great. Now, going on to my next slide, I am going to invite us to, especially if we're having one of those days, I'm going to invite you just to take a deep breath. And what I do is a 4-count inhale, a 4-count hold, and a 4-count exhale. I'm a holistic career and life coach, as well as a LinkedIn trainer. So I like to integrate all my sides. Here we go. Deep breath in. And hold 4, 3, 2, 1, and slow exhale. And then just take 2 more breaths at any pace you wish. Just giving you a moment to arrive. Our minds get really busy. So it just gives you a little space. All right, let me tell you what I've got in store for us tonight. My hope is I'll be able to share a little bit about how and why I think LinkedIn is really valuable. We're going to spend quite a bit of time on headline, on the about summary, and on media links. These are 3 areas that I think you can really benefit the most from, especially the featured media links as being creative types. We're going to really look more closely at that. This session will include some of the networking components too. So we're going to talk about how to expand your reach, doing informational interviews, how do I find people to do those, and what are some strategies for me to kind of network and grow my presence for career growth as well as for job search. And I love stories. So this is one of my favorites. Some of you might know Brandeis University, and I was doing a session for science grad students. Now, when I met Ranjith, his LinkedIn summary headline, it said graduate student at Brandeis University. After the session, he changed it. You can see his headline now is packed with keywords. And he actually wrote to me, no joke, saying that he thinks my help during that session in beefing up his profile helped him get the offer. So I asked him, well, tell me more. And he says, regarding how I know it may have helped, I could see that some people in the biotech industry were looking at my profile. You can imagine if he changed his headline to say all those keywords, that's definitely going to bump him up in terms of views. Now, but here's the other part. Something happened internally for him because he said my profile helped me connect with a few prospective colleagues at the company, added confidence. So the work that he did to really sort out what he had to offer gave him more comfort in approaching people, more comfort in putting in these applications. So I'd like you to think of tonight as way more than just a LinkedIn exercise. I'd like for you to think of it as a getting clear on who you are, what you have to offer, and where you're going. This information can help you in networking environments, can help you in answering the question, tell me about yourself. It can help you in writing cover letters. So I see multiple purposes for the work that we're going to do tonight on your profile. All right, I got to tell you another story. One of my clients, we reworked his LinkedIn and he landed a contract. He's still doing it, actually. It's temporary, but he's still doing it. And it was the keywords with Italian and legal in his headline that drew him this particular contract that he's on right now. He didn't apply for it. They found him on LinkedIn. So it really can make a difference depending on the keywords you have. Now, I also see LinkedIn as a really great place to collaborate. Let me share a story with you. A couple of years ago, a woman named Leanne from the UK sent me a LinkedIn invitation. I looked at her profile and I was like, whoa, this is someone who is incredibly talented in my field. I wanted to talk to her. She's written a book. She trains other career coaches. She is creative. She's written a book called Creative Career Coaching. So I reached out to her and we did an informational interview. Fast forward about a year, I was in the UK teaching. She sat in on one of my trainings. I sat in on one of hers. Fast forward again to a conference I hosted in August. I'm the president of a professional association. Leanne was one of my keynotes. So all from a LinkedIn invitation. I then ended up with a keynote at my conference because I knew her and she was willing to do it for pennies. We didn't have a very big budget. So think broadly when you're on this tool is my saying. All right, what we're going to do is some more of the concrete stuff. We're going to dive into the headline. And I want to find out if you have edited, have you customized it? So Meg is going to put up a poll for us. I'll let her do this now. It's just a yes, no. If you don't edit it, it ends up defaulting to your current job title. So yes or no, have you changed it? Or is it just the standard job title, wherever you're working right now? And I know some of you are students. I think there's more alumni than students on this call. Am I right about that? Darlene, Darlene, do you know offhand?
No, I'm not sure. Marilyn, would you know?
There's a fair amount. I'm going to go with about half.
Oh, okay.
Quick,
All right.
maybe slightly more skewed towards alums.
Okay. All right. So give it one more second and then we can end the poll and either Meg or Darlene can share results.
So we have 35% yes and 65% no.
Wow, we've got lots of room for growth on this. I'm going to say this, guys, if this is the only thing you have time to edit on your profile, make this one your top priority. This is so important. It travels with you wherever you go on LinkedIn. That's one of the reasons it's so important, and it weighs heavier. My understanding is it weighs heavier in the search algorithm. Okay, so let me give you some examples. We'll do that next. Here is one for being at the intersection of design, tech, and health. I kind of like that statement. Another one can be you're in higher ed, but you're also an artist, an advisor, and an advocate. I kind of like the AAA, the alliteration there. I like effervescently introverted. There's something fun about that. So we can be creative in how we describe ourselves, and we don't have to just be skills. We can be personality as well. And I'm going to go more into detail, actually. There's a fellow Sabrina, whose actual one is right here, Director of Civic Design, Mayor's Office of New Urban Mechanics, artist plus illustrator, she/her. And here, this one's pretty fun. Purple Skittle and a pack of M&Ms, design and digital marketing, USA and India, adventurous and kind-hearted. I'm showing you a bunch of different styles so that you can get an idea about what you can do with yours. In a moment, we are going to dive into the about summary, and we're going to do a reflection exercise. That exercise may give you some keywords that you then decide to embed in that headline. So stay tuned. One of the good news is that we now have 220 characters. Now, Michaela's on here is really packed. You can decide if you want to use up all 220 characters, but you no longer have to do like intense wordsmithing because you have more than you used to. They added on hundreds. They almost doubled it. All right. Now, the about summary section is where you have the opportunity to tell your story. Falls right there. And I want to find out, have you added an about section yet? And so we'll go ahead and pop up. Meg will put the poll up. We'll find out if you haven't yet put anything in there, or it needs a little bit of work, or hey, you know what? It's actually in pretty good shape. We'll give that a minute to see where you're at. All right, we'll give that another 5 seconds. Give you a chance to vote. And how about we share some results?
Sure. No, 30%. Yes, but it might need work, 63%. And yes, it's in good shape, 7%.
All right. 7% of you get to go and grab a snack and come back. And the rest of you stick around because it's going to be really helpful to take this deeper dive so that we can see if we can come up with some content that you can then build in to your about section when you get a chance. But at least we're going to get a little chance to work on this. So next up is a reflection exercise. So you're going to want to grab your pen and paper. You can do it on the laptop if you want, but again, I think it's a little better if we do pen and paper. Now, I am going to bring us back into a couple of deep breaths. There's some real power in those breaths as a form of kind of clearing the mind and accessing that more inner intuitive or wisdom kind of thing. So what we're going to do is I'm going to ask you to think about, where do you want your path to take you? And I really like this phrase. I want you to think about your best possible future self. Best possible future self. What is it? And I want you to block out the fact that of pandemic and all the restrictions on life. I want you to be more in a less limited belief system just for this exercise, so that we get at this more ideal state, this dream state. This is a dream exercise. So here we go. We're going to take 3 deep breaths. I love putting both my feet firmly on the ground, so I'm grounded. And then I pay attention to my body, where it is. I notice where it's touching the chair. Just bring your mind from being busy here into your body for a second. Notice where your small of your back is touching the couch or chair. Give yourself an upright posture to let in a big deep breath. And we'll do the same thing, those 4 counts for each phase of the breath. Here we go. Deep breath in. Hold. 4, 3, 2, 1. Slow exhale. Next breath in. Hold. 4, 3, 2, 1, and exhale. Last deep breath in. Hold. 4, 3, 2, 1, and exhale. Then take 2 to 3 more breaths at any pace you wish. See if you can notice the inhale and notice the exhale. We're just giving your mind a break and allowing you to feel a little more grounded for the next question that I'm going to ask. We're going to do this brainstorm for about 3 minutes about any element you can come up with related to your best possible future self. This first question could help guide you. Any of these questions may help guide you. If you had no limitations, what's your future dream job look like? Just take a moment and write down anything that comes to mind. No one needs to see this, but we're not given very many opportunities lately to really dream. What's your future dream job? Even if it's 10 years out or 2 years out, what is it that you aspire to do, to contribute to the world? I want you to also think about your talents. What artistic and other talents and strengths and skills do you most enjoy using? How do you like to spend your time? This would be the concrete, what you're doing. Anything that comes to mind, you just jot it down. Another question you can ask yourself would be, what are some of your interests or values? What's important to you? My last question, in this ideal situation, how would others describe you? Get outside yourself for a minute. And you could also think to the past. How would past colleagues or current colleagues describe you? How would professors or fellow classmates describe you if you're not working right now, if you're in school? Separate yourself and think about that one. It can give you some good insights. I'm going to be quiet for another 30 seconds as you write down anything that comes to mind. And if nothing's coming to mind, just come back to the breath for a minute. Just inhale and exhale. Sometimes when we're quiet, things then pop up. All right. From here, I want you to start to take a look at your list. And is it possible there's something there, or even a couple of things there that you can circle? Because you think, you know what, there is a way I might be able to build this into my LinkedIn profile somewhere. Even our aspirations can be stated in a profile. I'm interested in, and you list what it is. Or at some point, I hope to contribute by blah, 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 blah. My aspiration would be to have a mural on a city block at some point in my future. What word or phrase might end up somewhere in your profile? I'm going to be quiet for another 30 seconds while you think about that, because in a minute, I'm going to bring us into some small groups and invite you to share your name and your future career goal, just what you want to do next, and then a word or two. So I'll give you more guidance in a second, but think through what you might feel comfortable sharing with one of your fellow classmates / fellow alums. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to put you in small groups of, I think we said 5 or 6 people. I think Meg is going to set us up with this. And I don't know if you've done small groups on Zoom before, but a little message just is going to pop up and then it's going to let you into that group. So you're going to have to click on something that says what room you're invited to. When you get into the room, this is your chance to share your name, target job title for either when you're done with classes or your next move within your career now, and share with the group one of those words or phrases that you think you'll be adding to LinkedIn because it's important. Maybe it's even a phrase that's going to make it into your headline. So you'll each have about a minute to speak, or 30, 45 seconds. So remember, this is just a very quick, short blurb. It's not a whole long thing. It's so that everyone has time to speak. You'll just be sharing a little bit. We're going to put you in there, I think, for like 6 minutes. All right, Meg, how we doing? All right, welcome back. I hope you had some good chats. And this probably won't surprise you, but my goal for doing this is to really emphasize that you want that about summary and the other parts of your profile to position you for what's next. So I want you to be really thinking forward. That section that's now called about used to be called summary, and people would just summarize their past. It's like, no, you want to be really selective about what you put in there, because that's what the kind of work you want more of. So I would love to find out if people are willing to share 1 or 2 phrases that you think might make the cut and be added somewhere into the LinkedIn profile. So if you want, open up the chat box. And also, if you ever get sick of seeing that chat box pop up, which sometimes it annoys me as a participant, I open it all the way and then I click and I drag it down to the bottom so that I don't see the constant pop up. So it might be something you decide to do too. So again, if there's a word, a phrase, a sentence that you think is going to make it, that you want to have added to your LinkedIn profile, pop it into chat. I'd love to see. And in a second, we'll have Darlene share a couple of those.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we've got some coming in. Do you want to go ahead, Darlene, and read some of those?
Sure. I'm going to read Megan's first. Self-identified rule follower with overactive contrarian streak. Dawn is intuitive and driven. Doug is organized and independent. Christy is a master fabricator, relentlessly curious.
Oh, I like the relentlessly curious. That's fun.
Yeah. Mary is cooperation and visual storyteller. Laura is open-minded and energized. Margie is I like to learn new things.
Fantastic. Fantastic. So, tonight's meant to be this like incubator, help get you going. The idea is that later on, you can take some of these words and start playing with this and weave it together to make a story, to share your story. Yeah. Okay. Let's dive in though and give you some concrete examples. Here's the way I've set mine up. So I've got an opening statement, and then I've got these subheadings. We know that people scan rather than read. This allows people to see my 3 most important things: holistic career coach, retreat workshop facilitator, international LinkedIn trainer. All right, I'm going to take you through one from, I worked at GSAS over at Harvard, Graduate School of Arts and Sciences, and I worked with this student. She comes with an opening statement. I'm a research scientist seeking to better understand how neural activity motivates and shapes human behavior. Then she goes into her skills. What does she bring to the table? Data analysis, implementation of research tools. I love to generate new ideas and devise feasible solutions to broadly relevant problems. The next slide is a differentiator between a resume and a LinkedIn profile because you can show your personality if you wish. So driven, resourceful, proactive, positive. I mean, all incredible traits to have in a scientist, if you ask me. The way Jessica closed hers was talking about where she wants to go next. So if you're a current student or if you're not employed, this is a great approach. If you're currently employed and you don't want your current employer to know that you're seeking, do not close with this. Anybody can see your profile. All right. I want to share with you Sabrina. I love that there's another Sabrina, and I don't hear the name very often. So this is fun for me to share this one, a MassArt alum. And so what she has said in hers is Sabrina is a civic designer, public artist, and illustrator whose work ranges from playful drawings to the development of strategic design projects used to address complex issues such as housing, healthcare, and human rights. It is a very packed sentence, but it's very rich. She goes on to say she has worked with international and local community-based organizations, nonprofits, large institutions, and startups on issues regarding social, spatial, and environmental justice. And she closes with, she is fascinated by people, the way they move, speak, touch, interact, and experience environments, objects, and each other. Now, I prefer either no personal pronoun or using I statements, but it's really up to you. So lots of people use third person like this. So what I want to find out, or what I want to like kind of throw your way is, maybe consider this a homework assignment. And, you know, I'll be seeing you again, some of you again, in a couple of weeks. So my hope is that you think of this as a 2-week goal to have your about summary built a bit more. All right, I'm going to pause for some questions, and then we're going to do, we're going to do one more slide, but then we're going to go live into LinkedIn, because I'm going to show off some of the stuff that's on the handout. Handout includes 1 through 10, kind of like a checklist. I'm going to go through a couple of those, but let me turn it over to Darlene to see if there's any questions that have popped up.
I don't see any questions so far.
Or if someone spontaneously has one, they're welcome to take their microphone off and just ask. We're easy.
Yes, I have a question.
Okay, can you say your name first and your field? This is nice for
Yes,
us
hi.
to
My name is Ed Malouf. I'm an environmental graphic designer and an exhibit designer. In LinkedIn, I have a profile that is me, and I feature my company. But I realized that my company has a generic image in my, I guess, resume or job history site. Can I create a company LinkedIn profile as well, separate?
You can create a company page.
Okay.
Yes.
I
And
just
so
need to
Yep,
put
and
in logged in information and everything?
it won't be a profile for a person. It'll actually be a company page. The easiest thing to do would be to go to LinkedIn Help and type in the phrase company page, and then they'll give you the how-to guide. So you're going to be able to upload your logo. You'll be able to connect or add whatever content you want, whatever contact information you want. Of course, your website would be connected in there, that kind of thing.
I see.
And you can add posts to your own company's page if you wish to.
Okay, so I don't just go into LinkedIn and pretend I'm a new person and just make a new profile.
No, it's a separate thing called a company page as opposed to a person.
Yeah, that's one thing I've noticed from doing research is that there's all different kinds of pages.
Oh, there's school pages, there's groups,
Yes.
there's individual people. Yeah, it's an incredible platform. It keeps me very busy to keep up with it, I tell you.
I find
Ed,
LinkedIn help very hard to get to it. They don't want to help you.
I find it difficult to hear back from them. So I usually just go and search through their help, go into the help questions.
Okay, thank
And
you.
that's linked on my handout. So for anyone that wants to know page 2 of the handout, it's linkedin.com/help. Great. Okay. Any other
Another
questions?
question?
Yeah,
From
sure. We can
Natalie?
take one more.
Sure. Is it better to have a longer headline than a short one?
I would go either medium or long. If you're gonna do it too short, I think you're missing out on the opportunity to have important keywords. So maybe you have your job title, but you also have some key skills or a specific area that you like to work within, so that we're not just super short. That's what I would say for that one. Great. Were there more? Or should we just keep going?
I have a question.
Yeah, we'll take one more.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, and say your name and which field you're in.
Hi, I'm Michael Scheike. I'm a fashion designer specializing in hand-painted silk, and I'm merging it into a new career as a novelist. And my question, I have two questions. How do you get that little star in between your titles that I saw you had? And how do you get to the About page to develop that?
Perfect. All right. So what I'm going to do, Michael, is I'm going to go to like one, I think it's just one more slide called featured. Then I'm going to leave PowerPoint, go into LinkedIn. We'll come back to PowerPoint just a little bit, but I'll go back and forth. So I'm going to show that off in 2 seconds. Great question.
Thank you.
Yeah. So like I said, I'll mention this. This is a place where I think creative types can really benefit. It's the featured section. And it is a place where I've added my website, I've added sample PowerPoints, sample videos, even so I can show off my work, but I can also show off my values. What you'll see is a colleague of mine named Desua posted something related to Black Lives Matter, and then I reshared it and I added some content to her post, and then I added it to featured because I want that message to be part of my LinkedIn profile. So there's some flexibility with values, philosophies, personality. It's not just skills on LinkedIn is what I wanted to say. And let me just show you an alum, MassArt alum, Matthew. He has used featured to go right into his portfolio. So for every one of you that has a portfolio, I highly, highly recommend that your very first featured link be to that portfolio. And then he does some furniture through Groove Furniture, and that's his second link. So I'll show you this live after I share one other fun random one. This is so random, but there's now a feature to show how to pronounce someone's name. So right next to my name here, you'll see a little, sound button. That's where you can record saying your name. So that, and it's Wayne Yoshida that helped me find this out. So I give him a little shout out on here. So again, if you have a hard to pronounce name, I recommend adding that there. Okay, we're gonna leave here. Let me find my escape button. Okay, we're gonna head into LinkedIn. So I'm gonna do a new screen share to go to LinkedIn itself. Let's see, this is probably my best bet here. Okay. So
Asking how to add the speaker feature.
I'm sorry?
Someone asked how to add the speaker feature.
I don't know what you're referring to. Oh, how to add it. Okay, yeah. Let me do a couple of things real quick. Some of the things I talked about earlier are on my webpage under LinkedIn. So if you are interested in seeing sort of this handout, prep to build a savvy summary, sample summaries, makeovers, like before, after versions, and some informational interviewing. I just want you to know there's a bunch of information here. Now, let me backtrack. Let me go up to the home button so you can see when I enter LinkedIn. Now, let me address Michael's question. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up to the me here and view profile. And then the question about the stars, the little symbols. You can't bring them in from Word documents, so I'm not exactly sure how they landed in LinkedIn, but you can cut and paste from one to the next. So Michael can, and anyone can go and grab the ones I have from my profile. I'm going to also show you, I have a bunch of other samples down there. Oops, I'm sorry, I'm going to hit the wrong button here. When you open up my About section at the bottom, you'll see I've started to collect them. So feel free to come over to my profile and grab anything. And again, for me on a desktop, I just do, on my PC, I just do Control-C, Control-V. So that answers the STAR question. And then I want to show you the pronunciation feature is right here. So I'm gonna, I think it's gonna be too quiet to hear. You can't hear that, can you? I didn't maximize my audio. That's probably why you can't hear that right at the moment. But let me do one more. Here we go.
Hi, I'm Sabrina Woods, using a holistic and mindful approach to help you with your career transitions.
Could anybody hear that? It's really faint. I can hear a little bit. Anyway, Michael, was there one other question or was that?
Yes, my other question was, let's see, the stars and how do you get to the about?
Yeah. Anywhere there's a blue pencil, you can do edits. So I will pop open the blue pencil and then this is where I cut and paste. I tend to work in a Word document and then bring it in. And then again, the symbols you'll just have to take from one person's profile to yours.
But where's the about section to write it? How do I get to it? I can't find it.
How do you get to it? So this blue pencil is where you'll edit. So on your profile, there should be, if you don't see that about section there, you might have to find it up here. You're not seeing any kind of blue pencil for an about section?
I know the blue pencil, but I do not see the about option or section.
Oh, strange. Anybody else having that problem?
I know that when I went to go and looked in my LinkedIn, that when I was looking for the about page, instead of it being on the profile, when I scrolled down, yeah, like Nada Khalil said, it was under add profile section.
So here it is, Michael. Yeah, okay. So number 5 on your handout, I'm going to go through some other items right now. Number 5 on your handout is sections. I really like the fact that you can use this place to really customize your LinkedIn profile. In particular, I like going down to accomplishments. So for those of you who are students, you can list courses. I also really like projects. Maybe you're involved in something that you want to have get extra attention. Honors, languages, publications for those of you who are writers. So know that this section attributes really make it nice for you to ebb and flow and change things. And here's featured so that you can add in media or links or articles or posts. Let me go down and show you where those featured are. Okay, you can see all. Just if you want to get some ideas, feel free to go and check mine out. Blog posts, you could upload photos of your work if you don't have a whole portfolio. I think it can take a JPEG. If it doesn't take a JPEG, it will definitely take a PowerPoint. So you could bring them into a PowerPoint slides if you have products that you want to show off. To edit things, you click the pencil and then you can move these around. Okay, you can delete them, etc. All right. And then that's how the plus button would be how you add. So we've covered this headline and how do you edit it. We've added sections. We've talked about featured. I'm now going to bypass a lot of the content here just to go down past experience to skills. That's the next area I really want to talk about before we shift gears again. But so in the skills section, you want to think about your favorite 3. To add a new skill, you just start typing it. Okay, so I can just illustration. I can add it in. So I'm going to cross out of that, and then I can move them around with the blue pencil. By these 4 lines allow me to drag and drop, or I can get rid of it altogether. So think really clearly about what you want as your top 4, and don't worry too much about endorsements. That's just sort of gamification of LinkedIn. What I care more about is making sure you have, say, the 10 skills that are most important for your future job listed in here. Then, instead of worrying about endorsements, worry about recommendations. Could you get 2 recommendations? They could even be from a fellow classmate or a colleague or someone that you are a client, a vendor. You know, you can think broadly about who could recommend you. And check this out. Anne Kramer only wrote 1 sentence. So these recommendations don't even have to be long. They're not like our college getting into grad school recommendations. They can be very short. So looking at all the different things on my 1 through 10 list, there's just one more I skipped over I should go back up to. And I would encourage everyone to have a background. That's number 10, visual background. So you can bring in, just make sure it's not copyrighted material. Bring in one of your, this is my own photograph from a park just north of London. And there's not a lot of flexibility in it, but there's a little bit. You can see I can zoom in, I can straighten it, but you really want to kind of flush out that photo before you bring it in because there's not that much adjustment in here. So pull it into Photoshop or whatever. And Pexels, P-E-X-E-L-S. If you haven't been there, that's a good place to find uncopyrighted available images. And I'm sure other people have recommendations for that too. Okay, let me pause for a second and talk about background and about section. Okay, great. Is there any questions that are going to be about, looks like Michael has her hand up, but I'll see if Darlene knows if there's any more from other people real quick first, just to be fair. But Darlene, where are we at with those?
What, with some questions?
If we have any questions. Michael's got his hand up, but I want to just make sure I get to other people as well.
Yeah, Nada, does it help to have similar skills, for example, jewelry and jewelry making? Does it help with the search algorithm, or is it unnecessary?
I don't know, and therefore I would play it safe and have them in multiple ways. Like I can say that I discovered that I needed to add counselor. So I didn't just have career coach, because some people search in LinkedIn for career counselor. I needed to have both those phrases. So when they're different words, but mean really similar things, you definitely want to have them repeated. Jewelry and jewelry making. It's one word encapsulated in the other. So I'm not sure if it's as required. That's a great question though. And anything else before I go to Michael?
I don't see anything.
Okay, Michael, go for it.
Yes, is an editorial image of work I did considered copyright, like from Harper's Bazaar magazine, a full page of a shirt I painted while working for another designer, but it was my handwork on this.
Your handwork in their work that you were paid for that's in their magazine,
yeah,
online.
Yeah, no, published, like from the 80s on a famous model.
I mean, I would, if you want to be super thorough, you would reach back out to the person that you worked with, that you got hired by.
They're dead. They're gone.
I think I have an answer.
Great.
I used to work in publishing, and I think if it's in a publication and you show the page that shows it within the context of the publication, you're safe because you're showing something that's published, right? And
Yes.
you're sort of crediting the publication and it's like there are permissions granted for it to be in that publication. But if you take the artwork and you use it in some other way, like who owns the copyright?
Harper's Bazaar.
Okay, so that's why you would want
For
to
the
show it.
photographer. probably
Okay.
Stephen Mizell.
Then, well, because Harper's Bazaar sort of, and it gives you some credibility showing that it's in Harper's Bazaar. So if you could show like the whole page from Harper's Bazaar,
Oh,
then
yeah,
I think
I
you'd
can
be
show it.
safe. That would be like, you know, you're just showing like the publication and it's already published. So that's pretty safe. But if you take it out of context, then it really gets into who owns the copyright.
What is an example of taking it out of context? I don't understand that.
Like if you cropped it and just showed the image, I'm not sure if it's completely your image or I don't know who owns the image. Anyway, so that's it. Check on who owns the image, but showing the entire page will give you credibility and it's safer.
Thank you.
Fantastic. All right. I love it. We can help each other here. So I'm going to move on to the networking components of LinkedIn. Our primary focus was profile. So we spent an hour on that. Now we got this next 25 minutes to talk about when your profile's ready and you've got your portfolio in there and you're feeling good about that. Now can we up your game with connecting with others and having different interactions? So let's talk about personalizing your invites and adding their name, personal message, and thank you. I'm just a big fan of doing that rather than just the generic one. And here's a nice example. This I got permission from Joanna to share this. She says, I always enjoy connecting with people who are experts in their industry, especially those in New England. I look forward to being able to share value with you. If you're a student, you might flip it and say, I look forward to being able to learn from you. I kind of like that phrase. So 2 options there. Now, we're going to find out in a minute with a poll about whether or not you post on your homepage at all. You might be way more on Instagram and Twitter and other places besides LinkedIn. So in a minute, we're going to ask about that, but I want to just kind of talk a little bit about updates and give you some examples. Actually, sorry, the poll's next, but what we're going to do for this poll to make it a little more interesting is we're going to go to LinkedIn itself. So we're going to put a hyperlink in the chat box because this does 2 things. It helps me show you how you can have interaction on LinkedIn, and I'm going to demo how you do a poll yourself in case you ever want to. So I'm going to escape out of this. We're putting this live interaction up right now. I should be able to, no, I may have to stop sharing here and then go back in so I can show it as the screen. Is that posted? Is that link?
Yep, you're all set.
All set. Okay, fantastic. So you should be able to see, if you open it, you see this. I'm teaching a number of LinkedIn trainings for job seekers over the next few days. So I'd like to know, how often do you post on LinkedIn? So for you as my audience, I'm inviting you to answer that poll. I'm going to give you a moment on that. And what I'm going to do also is show you how you would actually do a poll, because now it's buried. First, let's start a little more basic though. If you want to do a post, you could upload a photo and write some text with it. You can do video, event, even write an article, or you can I could grab, say, my LinkedIn resources and just copy the URL. I can drop it in here. Boom, hit enter. I wait for it to populate. Once it does, now I can get rid of the link and I can say, here are my latest handouts related to LinkedIn. I'm going to post it because I want to show you. I also might hashtag. I'm going to show you if you make a mistake. So let's pretend I did post that. Oh my gosh, I don't want it posted. The 3 dots will let me go in and do the delete button. Okay, so I can edit it if I make a small mistake, or I can go right in and remove it completely. Gone. So the one last thing that I'll show on here will be, so I got to move this, something on my screen I need to move over. Give me 1 second here. Okay, so hit the delete button. If you want to do a poll, they've buried it. See these 3 dots? You have to pretend you're starting a post, find the 3 dots, then you can create a poll. Polls are fun. People like to respond. So you might get a little bit more action on a poll than you would on a regular post. Now, did people have a chance to go and let me just hit a refresh on this. We'll scroll down and see some results. This poll has been up. I had 70 votes, maybe 75 votes earlier today. Now we're up to 103. So got 11% of you are doing posts every day. This is you and all the others that have joined in with it. Gives us a little bit of an idea. So 40% or so haven't posted yet in my typical audience. So I'm hoping I can switch you over, especially when we talk a little bit more about some examples. So let me jump back in to the PowerPoint here and give you some, well, what could you do? I do something called Mindful Mondays, and your past mistakes are meant to guide you, not define you. So I'll put these visuals up and as just one way, because I'm a holistic coach. Matthew, who I talked about earlier, posted this from Groove Furniture, and he's giving a shout out to his colleague, Grant Warren. He says, Grant Warren and I had an opportunity to design and build furniture for a client's home. It's exciting to make objects that are seen and used every day in someone's space. So I just wanted you to see how a creative type might be able to share some of your work. You can tag people like Michael did, or Matthew did. Here I tagged someone that was doing an article about remote work. It's really nice to tag people because you're giving them credit and you're helping raise their presence on LinkedIn. So it's a very kind thing to do. Here's another thing. And again, my networking strategy is often, how can I help? So much nicer than what can I get? And I tell you, I think it serves our world in a better way. So there's a woman named Lynn Chang and Shay Key. They're doing something called the Work from Home Wellness Retreat. By the way, that is still happening. You can still register if you're interested. If you use my name, you get $25 off too. So this is just an example of giving a shout out to someone. I was searching on MassArt alums. I came across this. Don Paul says, I've been rediscovering figure drawing as a way to get my design day started. It's something that I went away from, usually favoring more cartoon-like style when creating storyboards and mostly drawing products, and there's more. So, you know, artists giving artists little career or little ideas about how to be more creative. So it's fun. Videos have started to be a fun way people are sharing, not just on Instagram and other places, but even in stodgy old LinkedIn. I took a 5-minute video. I'm into mindfulness, and I took a little meditation break by a waterfall last fall. And I posted it, and people just really appreciated seeing a very short video of something pretty in nature. Last week, I was hosting 7 guest speakers to train career counselors on LinkedIn. Hope that made sense. So train the trainer, teaching other career coaches LinkedIn. A participant named Anne recapped the conference, took a screenshot of the Zoom and posted it on LinkedIn. That was her way of giving back to the speakers and also sharing some of those key strategies. So this is the kind of thing at a more advanced level you could be doing on LinkedIn to raise your presence, to be a thought leader in your field. The last thing I say here is ongoing networking can really make a difference in the longer term, bigger picture. Someone who worked at Harvard Chan a couple of years ago had an opening, part-time temp career counselor. I had recently lost my part-time higher ed job. I was part private practice, part higher ed. So when I saw she sent this in LinkedIn to 30 career coaches, there's an opening. Someone else at another part of Harvard knew I was looking and sent me that same post. This is how I landed the job. It's because I stayed top of mind to my network that I even heard about it. They weren't going to actually post that anywhere on a, it wasn't going to make it to a job board. It was part-time temp, be a career advisor for students in the Harvard T.H. Chan Alumni and Career Center. So I have benefited from having ongoing networking going on within LinkedIn and other social media. Okay, we're going to pause again for questions. Then we're going to go into LinkedIn itself. Actually, I'll bow out of that for a moment and go back into LinkedIn. Darlene, what's happening? Anything happening with questions? Oh, actually, no, I'm going to stay for a few more slides here. I want to cover a few more things first. Anything coming up question-wise?
No questions yet.
Okay.
Anybody have questions? Oh, here we go. Where can I put my shows, gallery experiences? Shows and gallery experiences.
So what medium are they in? Are
You
they,
know, what medium are you?
I mean, your experience, are you talking about like an article about your show? So it's in a magazine? Is it?
He says traditional. Is it like your CV, your list of exhibitions? All school shows. Okay. He wants to put his exhibition record, it looks like.
Okay. So is that normally like the second page of a CV?
Yeah, a lot of times artists will have a resume and they'll also have an exhibition resume, a CV.
Then you can upload that PDF right into featured content.
And then I have another question from Matt.
You might play with it. You might play with it though and put it on a more visually appealing than just an 8.5 by 11 black and white. You might decide to, you know, if it fits, or do it on a couple PowerPoint slides to bring it to life with some visuals next to it. Might be a nice way to be a little different. Just a thought. Okay, yeah, another question.
Right, and what I missed before from Matt is I asked before, is the paid version of LinkedIn worth it or stay with the free version?
I'm going to show you a workaround in a minute for getting to message people through groups for free using a free account. And you can do that 15 times a month. So if you can't find somebody, sorry, let me rephrase it. If there's someone you're trying to reach and the only way you can do it is through LinkedIn, maybe it's worth it to have that free month or to buy it for 3 months while you're in a job search, just so you can send some in messages. But mostly I teach people how to use LinkedIn with the free account, and I've never bought premium. All the stuff I've done has been with the free account. So that's my take on there. If you ever get into a job as a recruiter, sales development, or you're an entrepreneur, entrepreneurs might decide they because they need to do so much sort of sales related and customer relationship building, perhaps that would be a time when you decide to be a premium or bump up to sales navigator. Yeah, good questions.
Okay, great. And I have one from Jahari. What if your career interests shift and you want to start a new track? How should you shift your profile even when your experience is the same?
That would be a longer, I'd have to actually really know where you are. But one thing for career changes is you want to take those transferable skills and demonstrate them. The other thing is you may decide you want to do some pro bono or volunteer work in the new field so that you can put that job right in the experience section to show off. I don't care if it's paid or not paid. If you've got an experience, you can put it right in the experience section. So that might help you. Yeah.
I have
All
one
right,
more.
let me pause and we'll take some, because we've only got 10 minutes left and I've got several more slides and a demo. So got lots more content. Let me just go through a couple of these slides and then we'll take some more questions at the very end. So I want to talk about joining groups because you can join up to 100. And even if you don't spend a lot of time in the group, once you're connected to a group, you can message people in that group. We're going to give a demo of that. And if the demo is confusing, we're also going to drop in a 4-minute video of me demoing it so that you can go back to it because it is a little confusing. But the reason I bring this up is because I really like to talk about informational interviews. And I'm curious, let's find out if people have done them, know what they are. I'll give a little bit of information about it. And we're going to basically pop this poll up. So you can go ahead and do that, Meg. And then we're going to talk about how informational interviews can really help us in our job searches. I still do them just to grow myself and my knowledge, my field. Is that poll gone up yet? Is Meg still there?
Yeah, I'm still here. Hold on.
Okay.
I think I'm just gonna quickly put that up. I'm not sure why that.
And if it's not working, we can also have people put it into chat.
Yeah, I think it's just not working right now.
So if you want, you can pop into chat. And in a few minutes, we'll kind of circle back to see what people have to say about, hey, you've heard of them, but haven't done one. Or yeah, you've done some of them. I find informational interviewing so important that I'm teaching a whole session on it. So today is going to be super brief. And then we're going to do a deep dive because they're so important. All right. So my very brief on what is an informational interview is it can prepare you for a particular career path. And it's this reverse interview. You're interviewing someone for information. It can help you with a career change, navigating that. How do I go about navigating that? What skills do I need to navigate this change? What are some of the trends or new developments in your field? It can also help you to understand a particular company's culture or making a shift. Maybe you are thinking about working for a small business and you've been at larger organizations before. So lots of reasons to do them. Asking for advice, they can be a micro ask, very specific for 10 minutes. And we can use LinkedIn to find people. So we're going to go back in there right now. And I'm going to demo two things. And we'll still, like I said, have time for some questions. All right. First off would be joining groups. Let me do illustration. I have no idea. I'm just in the top bar. I'm putting in the word illustration. And then I'm going to the drop-down menu of groups. 497 results. Groups related to illustration. Now, if I change it slightly to Illustrator, it might be different groups. So keep that in mind. I like the big groups for the purpose of there's people then many people I can reach out to. I like the smaller groups because the quality is higher. Sometimes they get spammy, I'll be totally honest. So a small niche group, like my Career Counselor Technology Forum is more niche. There you might have higher quality interactions. All right, I'm going back to the home page and we'll drop a video in to the chat box that's going to be identical to this next demo that I'm going to do for us right now. So that if it feels, this is how to find people via groups, but it's got multiple steps. It's also described on page 2 of your handout. It says, if you share a group with someone, you can message them using a free account, that kind of thing. Or that might be my old language. I've got an old handout in front of me. Let's do this. My field, I'm a holistic career coach and I'm a trainer. So if I were to do an informational interview, I might want to find a fellow trainer. So you can think about adding words, company name words, job titles, part of your field. Now, jobs is popping up. I'm going to switch it to people. Now I'm going to get millions. Yeah, 6 million of us out there. Way too many to work with. All filters. This is where I can do a lot of advanced work to change things up, to get really specific with what I want. I'm going to choose a second level connection. Because I live in Providence, Rhode Island, I'm going to add that location. Providence, RI. Whoops. There it is. Other things you can include is you can go right direct to a specific company. You can choose fellow MassArt alums this way. You can choose by industry. At the very bottom, you can go into exact title. So if you want to work on a very specific title, you can plop it right in there. All right, so I did a basic one, not too much information. And let's see, 476. I'm interested in emotional intelligence. So John and I have overlap of some people, but we also happen to have groups that overlap. So if I wanted to reach out to John, let me just back up and say, you're only going to have a highlights group if you overlap in some way with that person. It might be you have an overlap with people, mutual connections. It might be groups. It might even be an employer. If there's no highlights group, it means there's no intersection between the two of you. If that's the case, you can go to the very bottom of the person's profile, see what groups they're in. There's a little more button and that'll bring you to that. It would bring me to his groups. But there are two groups. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab his name. I'm just going to do a control, whatever. Oops, sorry. Let me just do this. I'm going to highlight his name to copy it. Control C. I'm going to go into the ATD group, because if I'm inside the group, I can then message him for free, meaning I do not have to be a premium, have a premium account. So once I'm in the group, the step is I have to click see all so I can see all of the members, 143,000. I can now search members. So I drop his name in and check it out, guys. I can now hit the message button. Even though he's a second level, I can send him a message. If you're not sure what to write and this feels really awkward, how do you ask for an informational interview? Here's a sample request on my website, as well as sample questions to ask. So again, in the chat box, we're dropping in the video that repeats that. Okay. Because it's a little complicated. I have one more demo, and then we'll have time for 2 or 3 more questions. My last demo is how to get to the alumni. So I'm going to type in Massachusetts School Art. Okay, why is it not coming up?
It's Massachusetts College of Art and Design.
Oh, I'm using school. Silly me. Yeah, you have to have exact. Okay, so I want to make sure I'm in the right place. So I'm actually going to type out the full name. This is where LinkedIn gets very confusing because there's a company page, there's groups, there's posts. Yikes. What I want you to know for this finding fellow alumni, you're going to need to go to the schools tab. Make sure you're the right one. This is it. I've typed this out on the handout as well because it's confusing. Lower left-hand side is where you're going to be able to see. Oh, or did they move it? Oh, they moved it. Okay, got to update my handout. I ran a LinkedIn session yesterday. They moved it in the last 24 hours. That's how often LinkedIn changes things. The alumni are right here. Can everybody see that in the middle of the page? So you have the home, about, post, jobs, alumni. This is one of the things that's tricky about LinkedIn is they do change things quite frequently. But I love this section. I can put down a keyword and see if alumni have that keyword. Or I can choose from 6 categories: location, where they work. I can use the next button and do, what do they do? I can just go right into one of these, or what they studied. You can go look for your major and you can open up. Maybe I want a fellow photographer. So once I select something, all of the people are listed down below. And if you have a group with them, your group, your alumni group is on the handout that I gave you. And I think we're going to put it in the chat box too. I think we're going to, so encouraging people to join the group, which is different than the school page. Again, I know it's confusing. It's a lot of stuff going on here, but I love to slice the data in different ways and play with this alumni tool. So I'm going to just put up one final slide about what might you do next. And you might decide to customize your headline, work on your about summary, add in those featured media links, participate in groups or on your homepage, and ask for a micro informational interview. And you're also welcome to connect with me. So I'm going to hit the stop share. So we're coming back. I know that Darlene, if people want to stick around for another question or two, we can do that. And Darlene had a few things she wanted to say as well. So how are we doing?
I have one from Jahari.
Yeah.
Can you hide your in-progress profile like Handshake?
You can't. So what I would do is I would, if you're making major changes, I'd just be doing it in a Word document or whatever document, and then bring it into LinkedIn when it's ready. Yeah. Anything else popping up?
Let's see.
Daniel had a question before. Is there a way to preview what your profile actually looks like to those who have found you through search? I feel like I'm remembering that was something you could previously do.
There's something called your public profile URL. And I'm trying to think where you can see that view. I'm looking right now.
I mean, I suspect I could just ask like a friend to look at my profile for me and like take a screenshot or something, but it just odd. I remember being able to do that a long time ago, that there's like a specific like see what your profile looks like. And now I don't see that feature.
Yeah, no. So everyone who's a member of LinkedIn will see it the same way you do. If someone's not on LinkedIn, there's something called the public profile view. So if you don't have a LinkedIn account, then it looks a little different. But that's so infrequently looked at that I wouldn't even worry about it. So the way you see it is the way that others, majority of everyone else does see it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Anything else coming up? I know we're at 8:30, at least on the East Coast here. I want to respect people's time, but I'm also, what I'll say is if Darlene wants to do a closing and then we stick around for 5 minutes to answer any last questions, know that this is part of a 3-part series, and I would love for you all to be connecting with each other. So I want to also invite you to put your LinkedIn URL in the chat box. Let me show you real quick how you find it so that you can connect with each other. When you, let me do a quick screen share and bow out of, escape out of here.
And I think to say that I just sent a link for a very short form. If you could please fill it in. I'll put it in the chat again.
Great. Okay. Let me just do this. Your LinkedIn URL, when you're on your home page, I mean, on your profile, is that up here in this top box. If you want to edit your public profile URL to get your name, it's over here on the right. So again, I would love to have you network with each other. So you can go and you can copy that, and then you can pop open the chat box and put it in. And you might decide, to add your name, a little blurb. I'm going to say like holistic coach, and then add my LinkedIn URL so that you would be able to reach each other afterwards. If you want to save the chat, there are, in the chat box, there are 3 dots at the very bottom, hard to see. Again, in the chat, there are 3 dots in the bottom right. I'm going to stop sharing my screen so that you can actually save the chat if you want to grab some of those LinkedIn URLs. Really great to connect with each other and to come back at the future session. We'll do the same thing. We'll put our LinkedIn URLs in chat, and we'll even take it a step further to see who might want to chat with each other. I'll make it even more formal next time. I want to be a bridge among you, help you connect with each other, especially at this time. All right, Darlene, you want to do any wrap-ups?
Yeah, I encourage you all to save the chat because I've been adding all kinds of links for you in there. So lots of good resources. I just want to, say many thanks to all of you for joining us for the workshop this evening, and to Sabrina for sharing her wonderful advice and tips on ways we can all enhance our LinkedIn profiles. We hope you now have great takeaways that you can implement right away to help leverage your LinkedIn to reach your professional goals and to stay connected and network with fellow students and alums in the MassArt community. And I put in a link to the next 2 workshops, which are part of this 3-part series that Sabrina will be presenting. Networking tips for creatives on Thursday, February 25th, and informational interviews for creatives on Thursday, March 18th. Both of them start at 7 p.m. And there's a link in the chat there for you. We also encourage you to sign up for the Massachusetts College of Art and Design LinkedIn group. That's an alumni group, but students are also welcome to sign up for it. It's a great way to stay connected with fellow alums, and you can post yourself in there, much like you can in a Facebook group. And I also want to give a shout out to Melanie Blood, Ed Maloof, and Tim Power, who are directors on our MassArt Alumni Leadership Council. And I also saw Dayan Danye, who is on our Alumni Leadership Council as well. They've been working with us to grow our MassArt Alumni LinkedIn group. And I also encourage you to follow the Massachusetts College of Art and Design LinkedIn page. That's our school page. And both of those resources are great networks for you to tap into. And I think I mentioned in the chat that current students also have free access to LinkedIn Learning. So you can learn all kinds of things there, any subject you're interested in. But alums would have to buy their own subscriptions. I think they're about $30. And then I also added a link about resources and benefits available to you through Alumni Relations and Career Services. That's in the chat. So we hope you have a great evening, and we look forward to seeing you at future events. And thanks again for joining us. And thanks again, Sabrina.
Thanks so much. It was really great to be here, and I look forward to seeing you all again, hopefully in a couple weeks.
I have a question from one of the participants who wants to know, where will the recording live? So I think we're gonna send that out when we send out a email to all of the participants, if that's correct, right? Mm-hmm. Great, mm-hmm. Excellent, thanks.
Does anyone have any final questions? You can unmute yourself.
Sabrina, it's Tim. Hey, thanks so much for everything and all the folks putting this together. One question I have, not necessarily for tonight's answer, but something I'm really curious about is how do folks kind of like silo LinkedIn when it's so different than all the other socials? And like, how do you kind of build your brand, so to speak, on something that's so different than like an Insta or TikTok or something where you can kind of feel out your audience? I feel like LinkedIn is so much more benign and sterile, but yet so much more powerful to get in front of those specific people you're trying to get in front of. So a very broad question, but I think you know where I'm going with it kind of. So that's something I'd like to
really want to know. You're trying to probably say, well, if I'm used to being on these others, how do I take my message and deliver it here? And yeah, I think one of the things you got to do is you, like all good artists do, you have to experiment. And so you say, all right, I'm going to put this one visual up and I'm going to invite people to this virtual event and see what happens. Or I'm going to give a shout out to my buddy Gray, and he's going to give a shout out to me in return. And let's see what happens with there. You know, once you do start to post things, it's great if a couple of people will have your back, so to speak, and actually banter with you. So you're not just left hanging there. And I find better success with things that are more visual. So that's where you guys can have a leg up. And I would post between 7 and 8:30 in the morning. There's more people on then. Supposedly there's people on at the end of the day too. Those are the 2 peaks. I still say morning is always better for me. This is going to sound weird, but don't post more than once a day because your second post will barely be seen. And so 1 a day is what most people do. You can hook it up with a Hootsuite or whatever, so you can have that kind of thing go out. But short form, totally fine. You can do really, really short blogs right within LinkedIn rather than a whole long one. Short form with a visual, that can be a really quick way to hook people. I do Mindful Mondays, so I grab a quote that's visual and I put it up every Monday, sometime between 7 and 8:30. So if people are following me, then your post gets about 2%. It gets sent to about 2% of your audience the people you're connected to. So it's not like it goes to everyone. So if it gets a few hits, then it will spread further. That's what I kind of understand. It's, they change things constantly, so it can be a kind of frustrating tool because it is so big. It is so complex. You just have to get in there and give things a try. Sorry, a very long-winded answer, but
nope, super helpful. That's awesome.
Okay.
Thank you.
Oh, Tim, one other thing is once you post something, you can go up to the 3 dots and you can copy the link to that post, send it to the friend and say, hey, will you give me some love? So you can do that. Yeah.
Good.
And then did Mike have a question too? And then we'll wrap up. I've got dinner waiting for me, so I have to run and do that.
I do have a question. Where do I find the your handout?
It was
added
supposed to be emailed. Did it get emailed or?
I added the link, Michael, twice, and it's also, if you go to Sabrina, the link in the chat with Sabrina's website, she has a resources page with the handout, and we'll be sending it out with our thank you for attending email.
Oh, perfect. I was gonna say, because the one on my website isn't customized for MassArt, where the one that's, yeah, yours is customized. So great, you send that out. Thanks.
Okay.
Wonderful.
I think it was you.
All right, I'm gonna
What was that?
wrap up, but you guys
All right.
can bring additional questions. Networking is our topic next time, so LinkedIn will still be included in our next session. We're gonna have some of these same things are gonna come back up because LinkedIn's so important right now, or social media in general is pretty important right now. So we'll see you in a couple weeks. Hope you'll join us.
Sabrina, that was great. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thanks, Sabrina.
Good night.
Good
Nice
night,
to be with
everyone.
you.
Thanks for
You put the
coming.
in Sabrina.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Nice to see you all.
Thanks for coming.
Later, y'all.
Hi, Heather.
So we had 5